You think you're afraid of being alone, but that's not it. You're actually terrified of the person you're alone with. That's why you do it. That's why the second the room goes quiet, you reach for the noise. You're not looking for a connection, you're looking for a distraction from the mirror. Because as long as the screen is glowing, you don't have to answer the questions that only show up in the dark. I'm Jay, and this is Jay Within. And maybe you're not suffering from a lack of friends. Maybe you're just suffering from an overdose of yourself. It starts with a twitch. You're brushing your teeth, you're boiling water, you're walking from the front door to the mailbox. 6 seconds of dead air. And in those 6 seconds, a quiet, heavy pressure starts to build in your chest. It's a faint hum of anxiety, a whisper that says, "Not now." So you kill it. You put on a podcast to shower, you play a video just to eat a sandwich, you scroll through strangers' lives while you're lying in bed, waiting for sleep to take you before your thoughts can. We call this staying connected. We call it staying informed. But let's be honest, it's anesthesia. We are using the internet as a digital sedative to numb the discomfort of our own existence. We've turned the entire world into a background noise so we don't have to listen to the signal coming from inside. Have you ever noticed the specific kind of panic that hits when the Wi-Fi drops? It's not just frustration, it's a sudden violent vertigo. Or that cold shiver when your phone hits 1% and you're nowhere near a charger. Your heart rate spikes, you feel like the floor is being pulled out from under you. Ask yourself, why? Why is a dead battery a crisis? It's because the phone isn't just a tool, it's a dam. It's the only thing holding back the flood of everything you've been avoiding. The regrets you haven't processed, the fears you haven't named, the person you've become while you were too busy watching someone else. When the screen goes black, the reflection comes back. And most of us haven't looked that person in the eye for a very, very long time. We've made a dangerous mistake in the way we talk about being alone. We use the word loneliness for everything, but loneliness and solitude are not the same. They aren't even in the same zip code. Loneliness is a hunger. It's the pain of being alone when you want to be with someone else. It's a lack. But solitude is the presence of yourself. It's the state of being alone without being lonely. It's where your best ideas are born. It's where you process your grief. It's where you decide who you actually want to be before the world tells you who you should be. The problem is, we've pathologized solitude. We've turned it into a symptom. If you see someone sitting in a park just staring at a tree, you don't think, there is a person in deep, meaningful contemplation. You think, why don't they have a phone? Did they lose their job? Are they okay? We've become so allergic to our own company that we treat a moment of silence like a malfunction. And your brain learns from this. It starts to view your own internal world as a hostile territory, a place you only visit when you're forced to, like when the power goes out, or the flight is 10 hours long and the headrest screen is broken. Think about the last time you truly sat with a thought. Not a caption, not a headline, just a thought of your own. You probably haven't, because we've optimized our lives for connection, but we've ended up in a state of permanent abandonment. We are constantly in touch with the world, but we haven't checked in with ourselves in years. You're not scrolling to find something interesting. You're scrolling to stay busy enough so that the nothing doesn't catch up to you. But the nothing is exactly where the truth is hiding. There was a philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard, who had a name for that cold, vibrating anxiety you feel when the noise stops. He called it Angst, but not anxiety in the way we use it today. He described it as the dizziness of freedom. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a cliff. The fear you feel isn't just that you might fall. It's the terrifying realization that you could throw yourself off. It's the weight of your own agency. Kierkegaard believed that when we are alone with ourselves, we are forced to face our own freedom. We are forced to realize that our lives are the result of our choices. And that is a heavy, unbearable weight. So what do? We run. We look for a distraction from the vertigo. Sartre, another philosopher, talked about the nothing. He argued that human beings are essentially a hole in the middle of being. We are constantly trying to fill that hole with things, objects, jobs, relationships, and yes, 15-second videos of people we don't know. We fill the vacuum with pixels because the vacuum is honest, and honesty is painful. When you're staring at that 1% battery, you're not just afraid of losing your GPS. You're afraid of the silence that's about to force you to look at the gap between the person you pretend to be online and the person you actually are when the lights go out. The noise is a sedative for a life you're afraid to examine. But here's the thing about anesthesia. It doesn't heal the wound. It just makes you forget you're bleeding. And while you're busy forgetting, the life you're supposed to be living is quietly passing you by, waiting for you to show up. A few months ago, I had a power outage at my place. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. Suddenly, the hum of the refrigerator stopped. The router lights flickered out, the fan died. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was violent. I reached for my phone, my default reflex, and saw that little red sliver, 2%. I watched it die. I watched the screen go from a vibrant, glowing world of possibilities to a black piece of glass. And in that black glass, for the first time in months, I saw my own face. And I didn't recognize the person looking back. I realized I had spent the last year becoming a mosaic of everyone else's opinions. I knew what a stranger in California thought about the economy. I knew what a creator in London thought about aesthetics. But I didn't know what I thought about anything. I was a stranger in my own skin. I sat there in the dark, and the angst Kierkegaard talked about started to settle in. Without the noise, all the things I had been pushing down started to surface. The conversation I should have had with my father, the project I abandoned because I was afraid of failing, the quiet nagging feeling that I was performing a life instead of living one. We think we're scrolling to find inspiration, but most of the time we're scrolling to stay busy enough so we don't have to feel the weight of our own unlived lives. I stayed in that darkness for 3 hours. No music, no blue light, just the sound of my own breathing. It was the most uncomfortable night of my life, and it was the first time I felt real in a decade. Here is the part where it gets heavy. There is a massive hidden cost to this permanent escape. When you avoid yourself, you lose the ability to truly connect with anyone else. Think about it. If you can't stand to be alone with your own thoughts for 5 minutes, how can you expect someone else to enjoy your company for a lifetime? We wonder why our relationships feel shallow, why our conversations feel like they're just signal received, signal sent. It's because you can't bring a self to a relationship if you don't have a self. If you are just a collection of curated clips and borrowed ideas, you aren't a person, you're an interface. And you can't love an interface. By running from the nothingness, you're also running from your depth. You're trading your complexity for a flat digital smoothness that doesn't have any edges for someone to hold on to. You've optimized for likability, but you've sacrificed your knowability. And the most terrifying part, the longer you spend away from yourself, the harder it is to find the way back. The person you're avoiding is slowly becoming a ghost. You're waiting for the perfect time to start being real. You're waiting for a vacation or a life change or a better version of yourself to show up. But there is no other version. There's just the person sitting there right now, staring at a screen, waiting for the next hit of noise to drown out the truth. The noise is a thief. It's stealing the only life you'll ever have. And it's doing it one 15-second loop at a time. So, how do you stop running? It's not about a digital detox or throwing your phone into the ocean. Those are just more performances. It's simpler and harder. It's about making peace with the vacuum. The next time you're waiting for the elevator, or the next time you're sitting in your car after you've already arrived home, don't reach for the pocket. Stay there. Let the silence feel heavy. Let the thoughts come, even the ugly ones. Even the ones that tell you you're behind, or that you're failing, or that you're lost. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to optimize them into a gratitude journal. Just acknowledge them. I am here, and this is how I feel. There's a strange kind of power that comes when you realize the silence can't actually kill you. The angst is just a gateway, and once you walk through it, you realize that the person you've been avoiding isn't a monster. They're just someone who's been waiting a long time to be heard. When you stop needing the noise to survive, you start to regain your edges. You become a real, solid thing again. A person who can look at a black screen and see a human being instead of an exit. The solitude you're afraid of is actually the only place where you can find the strength to truly be with others. Because the only way to be connected is to first be present. And you can't be present if you're always trying to be elsewhere. You aren't lonely. You've just been a stranger to yourself for too long. The Wi-Fi will come back. The battery will charge. The noise will always be there, waiting to pull you back into the fog. But for today, just for 5 minutes, let the battery die. Let the room stay quiet. Meet the person you've been running from. You might find that they're the best friend you've ever had. If this felt like a conversation you didn't know you needed, subscribe. Let's keep walking through the mist together. See you within.